Hi everyone, welcome back to our science lesson. Once again, my name is Teacher Yuri and I am going to teach you today about, it is about the summary of everything that we have discussed in the past two videos, okay? So, after this, you will be answering a few worksheets so that you'll be able to test your knowledge about the topic, okay? So let's begin. So let's start with the different plant parts. Alright, so the different plant parts are the flower, the fruit, the stem, the leaf, and the root. Okay, so those are the 5 major plant parts. Now, one by one, let us get to review the different functions of these plant parts. Let's start with the roots. So the roots of a plant are often found underground. They hold the plant firmly into the ground. The main function of the root is to absorb water and nutrients from the soil. Root hairs increase the surface area of the roots and they allow more water and nutrients to be absorbed. So the root hairs are the one responsible to absorb nutrients and water from the soil. So there are plants that have special roots. For example, the banyan tree has prop roots. They grow from the tree branches. Okay, so the roots provide support for the heavy branches. Okay, so instead of growing underground, the banyan roots are actually growing from the branches. The roots of a sweet potato plant, however, are storing food. So instead of the leaves, the roots of the sweet potato are actually the ones that store food for the plant. So plants have 2 types of transport tubes within stem. They are the xylem and the phloem. The xylem transports water and minerals from the roots to the leaves, while phloem transports food from the leaves to the rest of the plant. Okay, so this is how the xylem and the phloem looks inside the stem of the plant. So they make up the vascular bundle of the plant. Some plants, such as trees, have strong woody stems. Some plants, such as morning glory plants, have weak stems called the vines. So the vines may use trees as a support to reach towards the sun. So they cannot actually stand upright. So the morning glory plant actually needs assistance in order for them to grow upwards to reach the sun. So, some plants have special stems. Okay, so for example, the swollen stem of a baobab tree can store up to 120,000 liters of water. This is a very special stem because it allows to store so much water into its stem. The stem of a potato plant stores food. So, instead of it stored into the leaf, the potato plant stores its food in the stem. Next, let's go to the leaves. So the leaves, the stem transports food from the leaves to different parts of the plant. So basically, it is the leaf that makes food for the plant in the form of glucose during photosynthesis. So during photosynthesis, the plant actually produces glucose and also oxygen gases. The sugar is stored in leaves as a starch, and then it becomes the food for the plant. So leaves are usually green because they have the pigment called chlorophyll. Now chlorophyll is very important because it allows leaves to trap light energy from the sun. Some plants have very special leaves. For example, the cactus plant has needle-like leaves called spines. The spines help reduce the amount of water that the plant loses. The leaves of the plant actually has a stomata. Okay, so the guard cells close and open the stomata. Stomata are usually open when there is light, and it is closed when it is dark. The stomata allows transpiration to occur. Transpiration is the loss of water vapor through the leaves. When water is lost through the leaves, more water is drawn up to the xylem tubes to replace the water that is lost. So transpiration is the loss of water vapor through the leaves in the stomata. Okay, they go out of the stomata and then they go out into the atmosphere. Next, let's go to the function of the flowers. So the flowers help plants to reproduce. A flower may have only male parts, only female parts, or both male and female parts. So here are the parts of the flower. We have the anther and the filament, which makes up the stamen. We also have the stigma, style, and the ovary on the other side, which makes up the pistil. Petal, ovule, and receptacle, sepal, and pedicel are other parts of our flower. So the petal attracts insects and birds with their bright colors. Sepals is a special type of leaves that protects the flower when it is still a bud or it is still a young flower. The pistil is the female part of the flower, made up of stigma, style, and ovary. Stigma has a sticky surface to collect pollen grains. Style holds the stigma upright so that it can easily collect the pollen grains. Ovule contains eggs for reproduction. Ovary contains ovules and they become the fruit after fertilization. Stamen is the male part of the flower. It is made up of the anther and the filament. Anther produces pollen grains and filament supports the anther. So pollination. Pollination is a transfer of pollen grains from the male part of the flower to the female part of the flower. So most flowers are brightly colored because of the petals to attract animals such as birds and insects, which help the plants to pollinate. Some flowers use strong scents to attract animals for pollination. So some flowers are not brightly colored and they may rely on wind instead of animals for pollination. For example, the flower of grasses are not brightly colored just like the other flowers, and they rely on wind for pollination. So this is the process of fertilization. It takes place when a male productive cell fuses with a female reproductive cell. So number one, a pollen grain lands on the stigma of a flower. And the stigma catches up because of its sticky, it has a sticky material on the stigma, so it catches the pollen grain. A pollen tube grows from the pollen grain, and then the pollen tube grows down the style towards the ovary. And then the pollen tube reaches the ovule, and the male reproductive cell moves down the pollen tube and fertilizes the female reproductive cell in the ovule. Next, let's go to the function of the fruits. The fertilized ovule develops into a seed while the ovary develops into a fruit. So what forms into a fruit is actually an ovary. Some fruits have only one seed, while other fruits may have many seeds. For example, we have the avocado, which only have one seed, and the papaya, which has a lot of seeds. The fruit helps protect the seeds from the environment while the seeds develop. Fruit also helps disperse seeds to areas far away from the parent plants. Sweet and juicy fruits attract animals such as monkeys and birds, which brings the seed to new areas. Other fruits may be dispersed by wind, water, or the splitting of the fruit. Alright, So that is the end of our summary for the first two videos that we have learned, and now we are going to answer a few questions on your workbook. The questions are flashing on the screen right now. You can do this on your notebook, or you can find this on your student book, your textbook. Okay, so I hope that you will have a great day, and see you again on the next lesson.